A simple old penny, or a hidden piece of history? Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're looking at 3 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that collectors still keep an eye on. 1952 D Wheat Penny. 1955 Wheat Penny, no mint mark. 1954 D Wheat Penny. These coins feature the iconic wheat ears reverse design and were struck in a bronze/copper composition that became one of the most recognizable in U.S. coin history. Most of these pennies are worn, dirty, and heavily circulated, the kind people usually ignore. But in some cases, collectors search for rare varieties, mint errors, and better condition examples that stand out from the rest. Before you spend that old penny, take a closer look, because even small details can matter. Let's begin with coin number 1. Have you ever held a penny and completely ignored it? Just 1 cent. So small. So ordinary. So easy to throw away without a second thought. It passes through hands, drops into pockets, gets forgotten in drawers and jars, and disappears from attention instantly. But sometimes, the most ordinary coins carry the deepest hidden history. Today's focus is the 1952 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it looks simple. Old copper tone. Abraham Lincoln on the front. Wheat ears on the reverse. Nothing flashy. Nothing rare-looking. Just a classic American penny from the past. And that is exactly why most people ignore it. Because the mind assumes one rule. Backhand index pointing right: if it looks common, it must have no value. But coin collectors never think like that. They don't see coins as money. They see them as survival history. When the 1952 D penny was minted, it entered a very different America. A post-war economy. Busy streets. Strong cash-based system. Coins were used everywhere. No digital payments. No card systems. Only physical money moving constantly. Millions of 1952 D pennies were produced in Denver. Released directly into circulation. Straight into real everyday life. Stores. Gas stations. Factories. Small shops. Everywhere money was exchanged. And from that moment, its real journey began. Not at the mint, but in circulation. Because a coin is not defined when it is made. It is defined when it starts moving. And movement always creates change. Slowly. Silently. Without stopping. The 1952 D penny begins its journey in normal daily life. A store purchase. A pocket change exchange. A vending machine transaction. Nothing special in the moment. But everything changes over time. Because every contact leaves a mark. Every touch adds friction. Every transaction adds wear. And slowly, the surface begins to change. The original copper shine starts fading. High points begin to wear first. Lincoln's face starts losing sharp detail. Cheek. Jawline. Hairlines. All slowly soften over time. Then attention shifts to the reverse design. The wheat ears. Grain lines. Edges. Fine structure. All gradually weaken with circulation. Not because the coin is damaged, but because it has lived. And that is the key truth collectors understand. Coins are not destroyed by time. They are shaped by it. And out of millions minted, only a small portion survives in strong condition today. That is where real collector interest begins. Not in the year alone, but in how well it survived. Think about its journey again. A wallet. A store counter. A forgotten coin jar. A vending machine slot. Each moment seems small. But together, they build its entire history. And none of it is recorded anywhere. But the coin carries it physically. Scratches are movement. Dullness is exposure. Worn details are time passing. And collectors read these signs carefully. Because they are not just looking at coins. They are reading time in metal form. And that is the silent truth of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It is not rare in production. But it becomes interesting in survival. So when you see one again, don't rush past it. Because even the smallest penny can hold decades of silent history inside it. Now the story moves forward. Not into something rare. Not into something mysterious. But deeper into everyday circulation history. This is the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it looks almost identical to the 1952 Same Abraham Lincoln portrait. Same wheat ears reverse. Same copper appearance. Nothing visually new. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that demands attention. Just another small cent from the same era. And that is exactly why most people ignore it instantly. Because the brain assumes. Backhand index pointing right, if it looks the same, it must be the same in value. But coin collectors don't think in that way. They don't look for difference in design. They look for difference in survival. When the 1954 penny was minted, it entered the same post-war American economy. A world fully dependent on cash. A world where coins moved constantly. Millions of pennies were produced in Denver. Released directly into circulation. No special handling. No protection. No awareness of future value. Just movement. And from that moment, its real journey began. Because a coin is not defined at the mint. It is defined in circulation. And circulation always changes everything. Slowly. Silently. Without stopping. The 1954 penny begins its life in normal everyday use. Store purchases. Gas station payments. Factory wages. Pocket change exchanges. Nothing special happens in a single moment. But time does not work in moments. It works in accumulation. Every small movement adds a layer of change. Every contact adds physical impact. And slowly, the coin begins to transform. The original copper shine begins to fade. High points start wearing down first. Lincoln's face begins to soften again. Cheek. Jawline. Hair details. All slowly lose sharp definition. Then attention moves to the reverse. The wheat ears design. Grain lines. Edges. Structural details. All gradually weaken through circulation. Not because the coin is damaged, but because it has lived through time. And that is the truth collectors understand deeply. Coins don't get worse. They get shaped. And that shaping creates difference between millions of identical coins. Because even in the same year, no two coins survive the same way. Some are heavily worn. Some are lightly circulated. Some are surprisingly sharp even after decades. And that variation is everything in collecting. Because value is not created by existence. It is created by survival condition. Think about the journey of this 1954 penny. A grocery store counter. A vending machine slot. A pocket exchange. A forgotten coin jar. Each moment feels small. But together, they build its entire hidden history. And none of it is recorded. But the coin carries it silently. Scratches are movement. Faded copper is exposure. Soft details are time passing. And collectors don't ignore these signs. They study them carefully. Because they are not just looking at coins. They are reading time in physical form. And that is the silent truth of the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It is not rare by production. But it becomes meaningful through survival. So when you see it again, Don't dismiss it. Because even a simple penny can carry decades of silent movement inside it. Now the story reaches its most mysterious point. Not the most expensive. Not the most perfect. But the most confusing for normal eyes. This is the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Without a mint mark. At first glance, it looks just like any other wheat penny. Same Abraham Lincoln portrait. Same copper body. Same wheat ears reverse design. Nothing visually dramatic. Nothing that screams rarity. But then comes the detail that changes everything. No mint mark. And suddenly, this small detail creates attention. Because collectors notice what others ignore. A missing symbol. A small absence. A detail that should normally be there, but isn't. And in coin collecting, absence can feel more powerful than presence. But here is the truth most people misunderstand. This coin is not magic. It is not a shortcut to wealth. And it is not automatically worth millions. But it becomes interesting because it breaks expectation. When people see something different, their curiosity increases instantly. And that is where collector thinking begins. The 1955 penny enters the same world as the others. Heavy cash circulation. Post-war economy still active. Coins moving everywhere in daily life. Stores. Gas stations. Factories. Street markets. Everywhere money is exchanged physically. Millions of wheat pennies were already in circulation. And this one becomes part of that same system. But its journey is still the same as others. Because a coin is never defined at the mint alone. It is defined by what happens after release. And from that moment, time starts working on it. Slowly. Silently. Without stopping. It passes through hands. Stores. Machines. Wallets. Forgotten jars. Every movement leaves a trace. Every contact adds wear. And over time, the surface begins to change. Original copper shine fades. High points wear down. Fine details soften. Lincoln's face slowly loses sharpness. Cheek. Jawline. Hairlines. All gradually soften over decades. Then attention moves to the wheat ears reverse. Grain structure. Edges. Fine lines. All slowly weaken with circulation. Not because the coin is damaged, but because it has lived a long physical journey. And that is the truth collectors always understand. Coins are not frozen objects. They are living records of movement. And every movement creates change. Now here is the final realization of this entire series. 1952D. 1954D. 1955 no mint mark. Different coins. Same system. Same circulation reality. Time does not care about rarity. Time only reacts to movement. And movement decides everything. Some coins survive better. Some survive worse. Some survive in almost untouched condition. And that difference is what creates collector attention. Not hype. Not imagination. But survival quality. Think about all three coins again. A grocery store payment. A vending machine exchange. A pocket change moment. A forgotten coin jar. None of these moments are recorded. But all of them exist physically on the coin. Scratches are movement. Dullness is exposure. Worn detail is time passing. And collectors read this language without words. Because they are not looking at money. They are looking at time captured in metal. And that is the real truth of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series. Even 1 cent can carry decades of silent history inside it.